Hi everybody, welcome to this new video for the Gen AI Nerd channel. And in this video I want to explain you how you can actually optimize your prompting for academic research. So I think today a lot of people have started to experiment with ChatGPT or other large language models to assist them in their academic research. But I think it's important to realize that the quality of the output that you can generate is very dependent on the input, on the type of prompting that you do. And when I give workshops for academics, I see that often the prompts that are used are still very basic. And you can actually exponentially increase the quality of the output by doing better prompting. So what I will do in this video is first of all explain you some basic principles in how you can improve your prompting. Then I will go a bit deeper into some more kind of high-level strategies to improve the prompting. And I will actually also introduce a specific GPT in ChatGPT that can help you in writing better prompts. So that's what I will illustrate in this video. So let's start with giving you a brief overview of some of the core principles that you need to apply when writing a good prompt for academic research. Yeah, so here you see kind of the best practices that we know about how to do a good prompt. And so what you need to do is, first of all, in your prompt, provide context. That means you need to explore or to explain to ChatGPT who it should be in your prompt. And so if you write an academic prompt, so a prompt for academic research, make sure that you emphasize you need to be an academic expert, you have experience in publishing in top-level journals. So that will help ChatGPT to understand what it needs to do. And you can also give input on your own identity. Yeah, so you can say, I'm a PhD student, I'm a professor, I'm a postdoc student, specialized in this kind of topics. Again, that will help ChatGPT. So that's the context you need to provide. And on top of that, of course, you need to clearly formulate your question or the task that you want ChatGPT to execute for you. It also makes sense to clearly formulate what kind of output you want to get. Is it bullet points? Do you want to generate hypotheses? Do you want to have a table? All these kind of output formats are possible, but it's important to clearly formulate them. And also important is to try to write as natural as possible, as if you're talking to a person. And that also means you need to try to be encouraging, friendly, and emotional. And that might sound a bit silly because in the end, we are talking with a large language model. But we know from research that the more natural you communicate with these systems, the better their output tends to be. Yeah, so the first prompt that you formulate should be quite extensive. And then, if necessary, you can write follow-up prompts that are much shorter, where you try to further fine-tune the results. So these are kind of the overall best practices that we know. And let me now show you an example how you can apply these best practices for an academic prompt. Yes, so now I'm in my ChatGPT environment. And let's imagine that I want to use an existing paper. And in this case, I will use a paper of myself that I published last year. Let me briefly show you the paper. So this was a paper about innovation theater. It's a conceptual paper where we identified kind of conceptual relationships between different variables. So now let's imagine that I want to further build on this article and do empirical research on potential moderators of these relationships. So now I've uploaded my PDF. I can do that here because I'm in my licensed educational environment, which is fully GDPR compliant. We have the assurances that these data are not used for training at ChatGPT. So I can upload this PDF in my environment. And now let me show you the prompt that I will use, following kind of the best practices. So here I'm saying, look, you are a seasoned researcher with plenty of top-level publications in prestigious management journals. So that's kind of the identity I want to give to ChatGPT. Now I can also formulate my own identity. So I can say I'm a professor specialized in innovation management. You could actually make it more extensive. At the same time, ChatGPT nowadays, if you have enabled the memory, will actually know from your prior prompts your identity. So even if you would not give this identity, it will more or less know who you are and what you do. But it always makes sense to make it explicit. So then the task that I'm asking here is to say, can you help me to get inspiration for my next quantitative research project where I want to study potential moderators for the relationship that are proposed in the attached papers. In this research project, I want to focus on the particular setting of corporate venture capital. So that's kind of the task. And now I can say as output provides a structured overview of potential moderators. And I could add some additional context. Please, this is very important to me to move forward my career. So we will push it a bit to do a good job. Yes, so this is now the prompt following the basic principles. So now let's execute the prompt and let's see what has been generated here. So now we can see the output, and indeed, based on this prompt, it already gives me a nice structured overview of potential moderators. And so here are some first potential moderators, then here moderators of another relationship that I identified in the paper. Here are then moderators for another relationship. So you see, as I requested, it now has generated quite some potential moderators that I could use. So you see that by defining this prompt in a structured manner, it's already able to identify for me some interesting moderators. But let me now show you some additional strategies that you can apply to further improve the quality of your prompt. So here you can see some strategies that prompt engineers tend to use to improve the quality of a prompt. And the first strategy is called chain of thought prompting. And what does that mean? It means that you give ChatGPT a task, but on top of that, you will also explain the steps it needs to do to execute the task. You have to see it like when you have an intern, you will not only explain the task, but you will also explain how the intern has to do it. And in a similar way, you should treat ChatGPT like an intern, giving a task and then explaining the steps that it needs to do. Another approach is what we call few-shot prompting, and that simply means that in your prompt, you will already give examples of the input and the output you want to get. And so you actually learn ChatGPT by giving examples what kind of output you expect. And finally, you can also do rule-based prompting, which means that in your prompt, you will stipulate a number of rules that ChatGPT should obey when executing the task. So if you add these three elements to your prompt, typically the quality of the output will further increase. Now, of course, this will make it more time consuming to write a good prompt, but I have actually designed for you a GPT that can help you to automate this process. So let me show you the GPT that I have designed for you that can help you in writing this kind of sophisticated prompts. Yeah, so now I'm again in my ChatGPT environment, and so now we can go to GPTs. And this is the environment where you can use all kinds of applications built by yourself or by other people. And so I have built this expert prompt generator. I will also put a link to it in the description. But so now I can go to the expert prompt generator. So let's start a new chat. And so this is a GPT, an application where you can give as input a prompt, and this will not kind of answer the prompt, but instead this application will write a more sophisticated prompt based on your input. So now again I can copy paste my initial prompt here. So this was quite a basic prompt, and now I can press enter. And so in this GPT, it will not answer the prompt, but it simply will provide me a more sophisticated prompt. So here is the enhanced prompt. So now I can actually copy paste that, and you will see it now has formulated for me steps. So that's the chain of thought part of my prompt. It has given few shot examples, generated few shot examples that I can use in my prompt. It will formulate what kind of output format can I expect, and it is formulating some rules and constraints. So now we have a much more sophisticated prompt, and now I can simply copy paste that into a new chat. So I copy paste into a new chat. I again add my initial document, so the paper that I want to use here as a starting point. And now I can execute this more sophisticated prompt, which typically should give us an even better result. So let's now execute this more sophisticated prompt where we do chain of thought prompting, few shot prompting, and rule-based prompting. And so now let's take a look at the result. Again, here it first looks at the original relationships, then it kind of goes into adopting it to the specific context of CVC. And then again, you will see I get now an overview of potential moderators. But here, for instance, it now even kind of gives me some theoretical grounding for these moderators. So that's something that was not there in the prior run. So here already we see some enrichment. And here it even now formulates very specific hypotheses for me. So you can see that here the quality has been further increased. Yeah, so I hope this video can help you to improve your prompting for academic research, where we have to follow some basic principles, but then we can also apply more sophisticated prompting strategies, and you do not necessarily have to write them yourself. You can use this GPT that I've shown you to actually automate that process. So I hope this can be helpful to help you in your academic research, and please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos on how you can leverage ChatGPT for academic research. Thanks a lot for your attention. Bye.